Hello, welcome back to my Canadian short story project. Let me talk about Difficult People by Ctrn Wrght, published in Joyland magazine in 2014. This is from a selection of poems, not poems, of short stories, all designed for when you're hunkered down during the 2020 pandemic, which is, I guess, what I'm doing. Well, I'm at the moment got my mask and heading for Chinese food while I talk about this short story. In this short story, unnamed narrator is called to Outer Bank, one of these mandatory meetings where it's dealing with people who are Debbie Downers, passive Peter aggressives, and energy vampires, and how to deal with them. Narrator thinks, oh, it sounds like Devon. Devon is her brother who never moved out of her parents' basement. So he considered them his patrons, which, was his way of trying to elevate what he was doing. The main thing he was doing was editing Wikipedia articles, especially on kind of hermits, shut-ins, recluses. So a man in Texas who refused to leave his property, even though he was getting evicted for not paying taxes, and he just refused to leave. And I guess the thing with her brother is that, he would always bring her down. He would always, say, it's like, it's a shame what you're doing. Like, you're a people person. You could be doing so much more than just working at a bank. And she always thought that was so annoying, him being the one who was ostensibly the failure of the two. And and one day she finds him dead, overdose of painkillers. He had struggled with various things, and she took it really badly. Retreated into herself, lost her kind of friend at work, who tried to kind of comfort her, but wasn't able to kind of break through, and just end up kind of resenting her. Her brother was a deletionist on Wikipedia site of, like, we should go for the highest of encyclopedic standards, and in fact being factual, having sources, and most contentiously it being notable, being somebody who is notable, which is probably the thing that's most kind of debatable and stuff like that. And I know that from outside of the short story that often is a contentious thing, where it seems like a lot of males and male interests are considered more notable than females on Wikipedia, and thus those deletionists do that. I thought it was ironic in the story that you have this guy, Devon, who is a deletionist, who has committed suicide, which, is the ultimate form of deletion. Now, the other part of this story, and kind of where you're kind of thinking, wow, this narrator, I guess there's in one sense you kind of sense the frustration of having a brother who looks down on you when he seems to be kind of mentally ill, shut in, who's kind of devoting his life to Wikipedia editing wars. But he also kind of like, you're sort of maybe a bit of a piece of work yourself. Is this bank that she works at, and kind of what's happening in real time as she's thinking about her brother, which is this seminar about dealing with energy vampires, and a moderator who is basically is espousing that sort of ultimately deeply narcissistic part of view of the world, which is you view all people, what can they do for me? And like, are they holding me back? And it's all kind of me. And her friend Marion, who she kind of looks at, and they do a role play where Marion role plays with another fellow and does this imitation of somebody who's just like, what's the point of doing anything? This is all real meaningless paperwork. And everybody laughs. And she laughs too, which she's not quite sure why they're laughing, because she's like, oh, you're doing an imitation of Devon. And it's like, no, it becomes pretty clear. No, she's doing an imitation of her. And she's suddenly kind of has this triggering moment of, I'm surrounded by narcissistic assholes who view me as, in my grief, as a Debbie Downer, as a energy vampire, have no human sympathy. They just want me to contribute to the team. Basically, siphon away whatever's left of my soul into this bank. It sort of has that moment of like, screw you guys. Hilariously, a good bit of humor. As she's going out, there's a projector. She yanks out the projector, literally taking the energy away from the room as she leaves, which is kind of hilarious. I think the only thing I thought was, she ends the story doing an editing job on Wikipedia, and it's about improvement, which was kind of a catchphrase of her brother, which she says, oh, this would make my brother proud. And it's like, no, I think your brother would be more proud if you kind of ensured one of his hermits stayed up on Wikipedia. You argued your case that way. So it seemed like a little bit too jokey of an ending, not as serious as what I think the rest of the story is, but yeah, kind of a fun story that way. So I enjoyed that one. All right, more Canadian short stories later, or videos later.